Hello, my name is Sismo. I'm a photographer and videographer. Today I would like to teach you how to manually use your camera. Let's start with the triangle of exposure first. So you've got a simple triangle of three settings that are key for your composition to expose a picture perfectly. One of them is aperture, which controls the depth of field of how shallow or deep will it be. So how many things are going to be in focus. The smaller the number, the less things in focus, such as if I put this lens against the lens now, you will see the lens but not me. Then we've got the shutter speed, which can go faster or slower, meaning that if you go for a lower shutter speed, you'll be able to take long exposure photography, which is shooting stars, for example, moving stars, trail lights, car lights, or sort of different things with light. Or you can have a faster shutter speed and you can freeze action. So if somebody's jumping off a cliff and you want to have him sort of, you want to see when a pebble flies off his shoe. If that is what you're into, go for it. Go for the highest shutter speed. I think it's like 1/1000th of a second, something crazy. And then the ISO, which is the one that controls the light. So the lower the number, the less light, but also the clearer the image, meaning that if you bump up the ISO, what you will get is more light in your picture, so your composition could be better, but at the same time you're going to be decreasing the quality of the picture. Not in all cameras, but most of the cameras still have this issue that they only can go so high with their ISO, so they can actually benefit you with a good image, good looking image, and well exposed, even though you don't have a source of light that you can actually use. I'm gonna give you guys my story of how I learned to use manual mode, and it's a funny story because it includes a film camera which I bought about 2 years ago, when I actually started photography. I bought myself a Praktica MT-L3, very nice piece of kit. It comes with a, because I changed it, I've had many lenses like this. There are M42 screw lenses which you can use on your digital cameras if you get a adapter. Yes, you still have to use. Back in the day, you had to screw up lenses, and so you can actually use them. And everything was manual. This is why I thought that is going to be a good idea to learn this way, how to do photos and how to expose properly the pictures. Now you might think, yes, but how do I see if the picture is going to be exposed or underexposed? Some people will tell you, well, you'll know after they get developed, after a week or two of them being sent and stuff. No, some of the cameras have this little feature like this, for example, this little button. I'll show you. What it does is that it shows you a needle through the viewfinder, which then allows you to see if the picture is exposed properly, which is going to be in the middle, if it's underexposed, which is going to be under the needle, under the other line, or overexposed, which is going to be over the actual line. I think having 30 shots only on each cartridge, on each film cartridge, is very creative, and it will make your brain think, instead of wasting more and more money. You'd actually want to compose and take good shots because you can have only so little of them, where with a normal digital camera what you can do is take thousands of photos without actual feedback and without actual understanding of why do you need such and such aperture for to shoot a car or a person, or what should you focus on when you're shooting a person, a portrait, or what sort of ISO should I use, what, where and when. It all depends on your composition. Your composition is key because it's a story. It's like story is king for a movie. It all depends on what you want to represent. Like, for example, if this is some of my photos from BSB from last year. For example, this is Adi Behal, one of my favorite riders and a friend of mine who races bikes. At the moment, he's not going to be racing on the BSB. He's on R6 in the Bemshi series. But for example, this shot was taken with a shutter speed of 1/100th of a second, ISO of 100 because it was very sunny anyways, and aperture of 4.0, which led me into only seeing him and making him visible without showing the road, which was, well, not the road, the actual track, which was far behind him. Another photo that I've taken with of Asher, for example, in the paddock, not in the paddock, on the actual start line when he was getting ready with this team. I aimed to show how much backdrop and depth of field of how many people are watching and what is going on in the actual series, like what racing is actually, how big it is and how much of a responsibility this kid has towards his team, and you know, everybody wants to win and all that stuff. But the whole idea of this image was, this is the story. So the actual everything is the foreground and the middle ground. The background is the actual depth of it. So you, or well, me as a person, wanted to explain that everybody's in a rush. This guy, for example, he is trying to like sort out something in the back, some bag or whatever, or pick up some kit and leave. Everybody else is watching. These guys are communicating, asking, is everything alright, whatever. You have to tell stories or maybe capture some action. Like this is not much of an action, it's more of a sunset. It's sunset of Southampton. This is a long exposure shot, obviously a slower shutter speed, this one, and a very high aperture, so you can still capture a little bit of the light in a longer shutter. What I went here is for a 10 seconds shot, which led to having a bit of a movement in the water. This is another picture taken with a 1/100th of a second shot, shutter speed, sorry, which captured a bit of a movement on the grass here at the bottom. You can see the speed that the racer was at in the moment of the apex, of hitting the apex. What I'm trying to say here is that all this is necessary to understand, to actually capture and explain a feeling or a story. So if you are able to shoot with a camera like this, which is fully manual, you will be able to explain any story with any camera, even if it is a Polaroid and it doesn't really have many settings, like this, for example. This is my Polaroid camera. The only settings you can get is the distance for flash, which I don't have any cartridges, and I don't think there's anything I can change on this. It's only a prop for me, as I cannot find any film, and it's pretty much useless. But it still looks pretty good. So as a recap, main 3 key factors of manual photography. You need to learn about aperture, shutter speed and ISO, how to adapt them onto the exposure or composition that you want to try and take. Second is actually take photos and learn from them, listen to critique, join something like Instagram and ask other photographers for critique. I myself, at the very beginning of me shooting photos, I was learning from a friend of mine, Terry Scott, who's a very, very talented photographer. He mainly does underwater photography, but the whole idea is of him shooting under the water is to express even more action. He uses like a countless amount of cameras and flashes, and it is incredible what he does. It is completely incredible. I'll leave a link in the description below for his pictures, but it is something breathtaking. So yeah, as a recap, learn about aperture, shutter speed, ISO, shoot more, twice as much as you're shooting right now. Every single day you should be taking photos if you want to learn something new every day. Unfortunately, I'm not able to because of work and many other things, key factors, like weather, for example, in Britain. And third is get a mentor, find somebody that can actually teach you physically or take you to a shoot and tell you why is he doing certain things and why is he doing to get a depth on the field of the photo. I think with that pretty much explained, you should be good to go. If you've got any questions, please leave a comment down below with a question or anything that you'd like to know about photography or videography. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope I helped with this video. If there's any questions about the key things in manual mode, please leave them down below. I'll answer them, and see you next time.